What's up, guys? Welcome to the Linecheck podcast. I am here with, I'm sorry, cannot say your name,
My
but
name
Justin.
Justin,
And then
yeah.
you can say how you...
Or Kyungbin, as
Yeah.
a lot of people know me by now.
how's your day?
My day is good. I feel like it's like every other pop-up chef's kind of day where it's like, all right, I'm getting ready for the next week's pop-up, getting like photos ready, promotional stuff ready, testing some like food out for like the dishes and just making like little tweaks before I finalize everything. But I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Kyungbin. I primarily cook Korean food now, but I guess before I started my restaurant, like 4 years ago-ish, I was heavily into like Southeast Asian, almost like even leaning more towards like Vietnamese food. So I would say that's technically my professional culinary background, just because I spent so much time in it. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And then now I had a restaurant, closed it last April in Koreatown. And then ever since then, I took a little break from cooking and then doing pop-ups for like a year now.
How do you like doing pop-ups so far?
It's different, right? Where it's like having a restaurant, there's a lot more overhead, more like financial things, more like legal things you need to worry about, right? Where it's like labor, insurance, rent, there's a whole bunch of like things that you have to pay for, and on top of like, oh fuck, like I gotta pay out myself, or like at the time it was like me and my partners. So I mean, it's fun to have a location because like we started our restaurant just literally out of pocket during was it like 2020, like beginning of pandemic, where like I think we shelled in like it was like me and two friends of mine. I think we just pitched in like 7,000 each. It's like super low ball, like ghetto, like like ghetto ass spot in like K-Town. Like it's not even in K-Town. I would say it's almost like Westlake, very close to like MacArthur Park.
Okay.
Like middle of nowhere. There's like a weird alleyway, like just bums there. Like they set fire there a couple times. Like super like you would never guess like a hip, cool little restaurant would be there. But I mean, it was cool where, you know, like at least how we started started with nothing. So it was like building, save up money, renovate, build, save money. Like it was like building it up to where it got to. And then pretty much like when I closed it down, I just wasn't in a good mental space because of because once everything opened, like the competition got even harder, right? Where during the pandemic, like no one was going out. Everything was like DoorDash, takeout. But I mean, we made it through that. And then like having partners too, it's not always the best, where you don't always see eye to eye all the time. But, you know, we made it work. But at the end of the day, it comes down to me because I'm the chef of the group. So it was like, I'm burnt out. I don't want to do this anymore. You know, at that time too, I thought I was going to just like complete quit cooking. I was like, fuck all this shit. I don't want to deal with this. I tried some other stuff, and I'm like, no, I got to come back to cooking. But now compared to pop-ups, right? Pop-ups are nice because it's like you're not stuck in a place where once you have a location or like a brick and mortar, it's like you're chained to it. And like, especially starting off small without like having a following or like no one knowing nothing of you, it was like, oh, like that shit's hard, you know? And like you got to find people, bring them to you versus like pop-ups now where I can just freely move around, right? Like find places that do like the pop-ups, which nowadays everyone hosts it because especially like all these coffee bars that are turning into like wine bars now at nighttime, and no one wants to hire like a kitchen staff because that's just added labor. So it works. Like at the beginning, I was playing it slower. I'm like, I think I can only do like 2 pop-ups a month, right? And then eventually, that was doing 2 pop-ups a month plus having like a job. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I want to go fully into the pop-up life. And then now it's at the point where I have my like regular locations. And then if I find like a new location, I can squeeze them in, test it out. But now I'm like cruise mode. Like the only hard part is I'm doing everything out of my little apartment where I'm like, the fridge is fucking tiny.
Yeah.
It's a 1 bedroom. I don't think we're at like 600 square feet. So it's like super small.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's like the hardest part, right? And
Staying
also
organized in a small space.
Yeah. Like now, like I have so much equipment and like things now where it's like I could only move up in terms of like having more shit. And like all my counters are full, right? So now I have like 2 full racks and like at the apartment. So everything's just like all about like going up now. But it's fun. Like I make my full living off of it right now, so I'm not complaining.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I left working in restaurants. I was not like the owner chef in last February. So
yeah, I remember.
it's almost in a year. But yeah, it's interesting to be like a freelance chef and just like jumping around, and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can,
like there's no restraints.
You can change the menu as much as you want.
Yeah.
If maybe the dish you made for one night isn't really working, you can change it on the fly if you want, and then no one's gonna tell you no.
Yeah. You're not tied down to anything. So it's like you have your full control of like literally whatever you want to do, right? And then just depending on like where the pop-up space is and then their regulations or whatever rules.
Yeah, it's definitely growing. I wish Long Beach had more spaces available for pop-ups to like do dinners at nighttime, because we don't have a lot.
Yeah. But also Long Beach, like I've only been in Long Beach for maybe like 4 or 5 times for like pop-ups, but the community here is fucking amazing. Like I feel like the community here still is like what LA was like during the pandemic. Where like during the pandemic, everyone's like fucking working with each other, like cross promote and like all this. But then after everything opened, everyone's like, oh shit, we gotta like start like holding our shit down. Yeah. And like you see less and less of like the collaborations. And then like when I did the first pop-up at Provence here in Long Beach, I was like, God, like I just met so many people. Everyone's so friendly. Like no one's being a dick. Like everyone's just like, the crowd was so good. So I'm like, I want to do more in Long Beach if I can. Yeah, just to be like meeting new people too is always nice.
Yeah, it is nice. Well, I'm glad you had a good experience here.
Yeah. No, I love Long Beach.
Cool.
Like the only issue is the drive down, but besides that,
the drive
nice.
sucks.
It's nice.
So how did you start cooking originally?
Cooking originally, I mean, I don't think my like uprising to cooking is like the norm. Like most people where they're like, oh, like I cook with like my dad or my grandma or so on and so forth. Cause like for me, like I immigrated when I was younger. So when I came out here, initially it was just me, my parents, and then my aunt that we lived with. And then being an immigrant at that time, it's like I'm in like schooling. And then after schooling, they sent me to like an after school program and get picked up at like 8. So it wasn't like, I never had like that family, like, oh yeah, we're like, I looked up to somebody for like cooking, right? But like the one thing I always tell people that I remembered was like, because we lived in one place with like 2 families, we always had like family meals together. And then as a kid, it's like, I'm not cooking, but like I help set up the table, and like I think what caught me, and I tell this to everyone too, where like the initial gratification of like when someone eats and they're like, oh my God, it's so good. And of course, like I wasn't cooking at the time, but like just being a part of like, oh, setting up the table, bringing food to people, and like seeing that like reaction right off the bat, it really stuck with me for a while. So then even like they're like elementary, middle school, high school, like I sort of like pigeonholed myself into like cooking. So like even like senior year, I was like, nah, like I'm not gonna try like for the SATs. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm gonna go be a fucking chef, like I don't need to learn anything. And then that's what I did, right? And then here I am like 13, 14 years later. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I just went right into it, never left, and that's it.
Wow, that's cool. I get what you're talking about, because I didn't really cook with like my grandma or my mom. I was just like around, when they made meals, and I kind of paid attention, kind of didn't, but like being part of the family and eating together. Especially like having Filipino food when I was little, like you don't think about it like, oh, I'm gonna eat Filipino food tonight. No, this is just like what we're eating. And to come like look at it from afar, that was like a big part of my upbringing. Is like I ate Filipino food without knowing that it's Filipino food. It's just the food that we got. And so it's just interesting to look at it that way. But yeah,
But I
I,
mean, even that too, just like touching on that, like I feel like nowadays, like a lot of the even like the younger upcoming chefs, like you know, like it's all trends, right? Where
mhm.
it's like, oh, from it went from like was it New American to like, oh, we're doing like fine dining now, and like I feel the trend is going back to like everyone's roots, right? And
Yes.
like nowadays, everyone's like even like for me to like I never thought about like me growing up eating Korean food, you know.
Yeah.
That's just like
Yeah,
that's what I
exactly.
eat, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but then now like as being a chef and doing your own thing, it's like I feel a lot of people look back on that now and like take on like that responsibility
Mhm.
of like, dude, like that's what it is
That's
for
who
me.
you
Yeah,
are.
that's
Yeah.
who I am.
You have an identity.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
important because you know, a lot of chefs that they're, you know, coming up, it's important for them, you to find your identity
Mhm.
as a chef because if you're learning still, you know, you're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
through the stages of working in different restaurants and figuring out who you like to work for
Mhm.
and what chefs you hate working
Yeah.
for. And, you know, and then you build your base off of those things. And then eventually you just kind of just pivot back to
Yeah.
the roots. And I think that's what I did for myself.
Mhm.
You know, it was just about being in the heat of the line and
Yeah.
having a fun time and, you know, pinning out super soigné food for your favorite
Yeah.
chef. And then now I'm going backwards and being like, wait, like this is what my grandma made
Mhm.
when I was little and still makes it. And now I'm going to put it on my menu
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this weekend. But yeah, it's really cool to think about those things like that. It's important, especially if you're showcasing it too, you
Yeah.
know, put a lot of love into it.
Like it's
It's a
interesting.
great
Yeah.
representation.
And like you have I mean, you don't have to, right? Like for me too, when I think about it, I never professionally worked in a Korean
Mhm.
restaurant because like also there really isn't any like upper scale Korean restaurants like even in
Mhm.
LA, right? Right?
Mhm.
Everything's like mom and pop, you know, very like traditional, very
Mhm.
simple. But then it's like having worked with like like a French chef, like a Vietnamese chef, and like going through those like eras of your culinary
Mhm.
life, you start picking up like different techniques,
Yeah.
different you start learning about different ingredients, and then yeah, sum all that up, and then now when you're doing your own thing, it's like, yeah, it's Korean food or like Filipino food, right?
Mhm.
But then it has accents of everything that you picked up on the way
Yeah.
to where you got to now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Dialed it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, what have been some of your most heated moments working, melting,
Heated moments.
where you're like having a meltdown?
I think definitely like one of the first restaurants I worked at, it was at the LACMA Museum. It
Oh,
was called like
wow.
Raisin Starksport. I was because when I started with like Patina Restaurant Group back in
Mhm.
the days, and then that was still the era of like very abusive chefs,
Mhm.
right? Where they're all like classic French,
Yeah.
you know, like fucking just throwing shit and like I never had any like chef like adult friends or like people that I knew that were chefs that were already in the industry, right? So I'm like, okay, like I learned whatever from culinary school. I'm like, okay, I just need to follow the rules, whatever. And it's like coming into like a restaurant where it's like, oh, everyone's like drunk or the chefs are on coke and like very angry, right? And then first station you're ever on is what Garmager. And I just remember, I think it was like Dine LA.
Mhm. Oh,
Like
God.
Garmager is like the worst station for Dine LA because it's
Yeah.
like you do the first course,
Mhm.
right? And like the apps, charcuterie, whatever. And then also you do the dessert.
Mhm.
And it's so you're getting double fucked.
Yep.
And at the same time, you have to time everything with like the other cooks. And then one time it was just like, I think I fucked up on something. And then the chef came up to me and got super angry. And like, I know he's like drunk, whatever. And like, what am I gonna do? Like, talk back to him? You know, it's like someone that hasn't even been there for like a few months.
Yeah.
And it's like, comes up to me, fucking like grabs me by the collar, fucking starts like yelling at me, throws the fucking plate. I'm like, what the fuck? And then like he tells me to grab my shit and walk out. And I'm like fucking crying. Like, I think that was like the worst thing
Jesus.
because it's like it's different where it's like you're fucking up, but then if your team's good, everyone sort of like helps you and like
Yeah. Yeah.
everything rhythms out. But like being so fresh into it and like having somebody yell at you in your face, like that's not a good feeling, you know?
Mm-mm.
Like,
No, it's not.
do I like regret it? I mean, I don't think so though, right? Because I think like I'm like talking off, but
Yeah.
like even that like experience, right? Like everyone's like, or the older chefs are like, oh, everyone's being a little bitch and like everyone's little pussies now, whatever. And like no one has like like what do you call it, like no one has like their back strong or
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
but they're not. They need to like build up your like thick skin,
Mhm.
right? But at the same time, it's like that's not like it's true to a sense, but at the same time, it's like you're fucking someone up mentally.
Yeah.
Like that's like, and then ever since then, it's like I get very like I want to say like PTSD a little bit. Like when I used to work for like other new chefs, and I'm like, dude, like I don't know if he's gonna like blow up or
Yeah.
like. So you're always just like head down, keep quiet, just keep working, keep working, keep working. But that was definitely I think the worst like fuck me moment.
Yeah, no one's ever grabbed me before.
Yeah,
So,
it's
damn, that's crazy.
it's an intense feeling.
Yeah, it's very intense. I mean, it's already intense just
Yeah,
you know, being in the weeds.
yeah, you're in
being
the
in the
middle
weeds
surface.
is already crazy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that chefs, you know, do that and just like hold the line like longer, you know. Food
Yeah.
will take longer to get
Yeah.
out when something happens like that.
Yeah.
It's like you're sabotaging yourself right now.
Yeah.
Crazy. Wow. Yeah, if anyone knows what Dine LA is, it's like I think Long Beach has one, but they might have like changed the name like 3 times to some kind of other version. But if you guys don't know, it's like a week. Is it week or 2 weeks?
It's 2 weeks. I
Yeah, 2
believe.
weeks of restaurants that are like on a list,
Special deals.
and they all do specials, and then everyone like has a map and goes to all the restaurants with the specials, and it's like a little bit cheaper. And so it's always a really busy week, 2 weeks for restaurants in Dine LA. And it's literally every chef, like every cook that I've talked to, like they're like, I fucking hate Dine LA.
It's the worst because it's like unnecessarily busy.
Yes.
And it's like, in terms of like money, too, it's like they're not spending that much, but they're getting like a taste of like most of the menu, right? And it's, I think as a consumer, it's fucking great.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's fun. Yeah,
But
I never
like,
got to experience it.
On the
'cause I was
opposite
in-
side, it's just like, oh no, I would go attend, but I wouldn't be on the back end of it. Like,
yeah.
like another PTSD, like the fucking what do you call it, the printers.
Oh yeah.
You
You know what? It was funny. I did a pop up on Monday, and there's a ticket machine on the line, the hotline. But we're like serving out of a window. We have our POS system in the window.
Yeah.
And I was getting tickets for the bar on the hotline, and I was like, "Hey, can you turn this off? Like, I don't want to get tickets." Because he's like, "What's wrong? You have PTSD from the noise?" I'm like, "No, but it's just annoying to hear when they're not for me."
Yeah.
But yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine like 2 printers going off constantly. It's like, it's just like those like ringing that just doesn't stop. It's just like, God, shut it off, please.
Yeah. And your brain just wants to automatically go to it, to attend to it, but you know, there's no tickets aren't for you.
It's the God.
Yeah.
It's the God of kitchens.
So I saw that you were on Beat Bobby Flay.
Yes.
How was that?
So I've never done like TV before, and like I only did it because I'm like, I never been to New York. It's a free flight. They're getting my hotel. So I'm like, fuck it. Why not? You know, like even if I lose, I don't really care. Like as long as I can get to New York for free and then spend a little time there, explore the city. Cause like New York, I think in terms of like Korean fine dining, they're like way advanced or way ahead versus like LA. Cause it's just 2 very different cities.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is my opportunity to like go check it all out. But the
What was the best thing you ate there?
Definitely was it Adult Boy? Yeah, Adult Boy was for the price because I think it was $75 for their prefix menu.
Oh, that's cheap.
And like someone I knew, like that knew like JP and like the chefs, like got me in there. So like I got all these hooked up, like
nice.
extra dishes, you know. And yeah, I mean that was like the best bang for the buck, and on top of like execution, timing, even like the plating, like it was just like you can't beat it. $75, like
Yeah.
And then everything else is so expensive out there.
Oh yeah, it's really expensive out
By
there.
the time time ran out in New York, I was like, dude, I just want to go back to LA. I miss like mom and pop restaurants, just like rice and soup, something simple. Give me some kimchi, you know, like I'm tired of dropping like bills after bills, or like just eating at all these fancy places, you know.
That's what happens on vacation.
Yeah.
It's hard not to.
But I mean, it was a good experience, you know, like going back to the Beat Bobby Flay thing, it was a very intense day because the shoot was almost like more, I would say a little longer than 12 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so they had like a car roll up at like 6 a.m. at the hotel they put us in, picked up me and like a couple other chefs. got back to their studio, and then went through like the whole makeup, rehearsal, or not really rehearsal, but just like walkthrough of like what to do, and like they even like tell you like take off your shirt, let me like steam it for you so you look
Yeah.
nice. I think that was when I really understood that I'm not competitive, because like in my nature too, I'm not competitive. Like I don't care to be like fucking like think of something on the fly. I'm like I like to just pre-think and like sort of just like like measure and like get everything organized in my head before I go into something. But like the first round of Beat Bobby Flay is like me versus another random chef.
Okay.
And then Bobby Flay picks like a random ingredient. And then from there, I think it was like a 15-minute like clock. And then you just come up with something in 15 minutes.
What did you come up with?
He was an asshole. So the mystery ingredient was bitter melon.
Okay.
And it's just like why the fuck would you pick bitter melon?
I hate bitter melon.
Like no one likes bitter melon.
My grandma loves bitter
Really?
melon.
Like,
It's one of
I
her
don't-
favorites. I was like,
I don't understand it. Like
I had to cook her this dish for her. It's called umpayala, and it's bitter melon with like eggs and sautéed shrimp.
yeah.
It was like a weird dish.
Yeah, because like
I don't love it.
cooked a bitter melon with like the Chinese like Vietnamese side of things, where it's like oyster sauce, fish sauce, and like sautéed with like eggplant or like other things, right? But I'm like, oh, also like another hard thing with Beat Bobby Flay is because it's a very like Americanized show. They don't have a lot of ingredients that like I'm used to cooking with,
Yeah.
right? Especially like the Korean pantry, like. Before you start, like they ask you, it's like, oh, is there any like ingredients you want us to like find for you, or like certain like tools? And then I give them a list, but like I got maybe like not even like a third of what I wanted to use, so it was very limited.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, and then like I guess after like he announces it, right, you sort of get some time to like roam around, figure out the station, see where like all the pantry is, and like at least they give you some like comfort of like, okay, like at least you know like the
navigating
layout
your
and
way,
navigation. Yeah. So that was, I mean, that was nice of them. But I beat the other chef, which I honestly I don't think I should have, because like the moment he said bitter melon, I'm like, I'm not gonna be like, I don't want to do anything creative with this. Like I'd rather just keep it simple, just make it taste good.
Yes.
Because like at the end of the day, it's like 15 minutes isn't too long. Like grabbing the ingredients, that's gonna be what 5 to maybe like 70 minutes. Getting everything set up. But after the first round, I won, and then you shoot a scene, you pause, and then if they want to reshoot, they'll just redo it, except for the cooking part. And then so it's like shoot, stop, shoot, stop, shoot, stop, and you're doing this for like maybe a good like 6-7 hours, or maybe like like 6-7 hours. So it's like I'm not used to it. Like me and the other chef too, because we were like hanging out the whole time, and just talking. We were both like super anxious. Like we're like, what the fuck are we doing?
Hurry
Like,
up and wait.
yeah. And like also like the entrance too. They're like, oh, you got to do something like grand and like very like personable, and like maybe people like you. And then we're both like, this is like very awkward. Like we're both pretty like, quiet people. You know, we're very mellow. We're not about like this. Like extra, like
Cross your arms, macho shit.
Or like,
yeah,
they're like, do something funny, you know. Like the other guy was like trying to juggle or something. Like I don't know. Like so, like starting from the day on, like the starting 6 a.m. to like say like 7, like it's just we're just high on like anxiety, and it's like everything's so tense. Like we're like cold sweating the whole time. And then after I beat the first chef, or I guess I should explain what I did, right?
Okay.
So I kept it simple. I just did like a blanch. I blanched the bitter melon to like sort of pull out some of like that bitterness. And then I just did like a tempura fry with like a gochujang, like sweet and sour
That's
sauce.
how I was thinking in my head when I would do it. I was I would do some kind of like fried.
Yeah, because I felt like the reason why I say I feel bad that I won the first round was because the other chef, he like went all out. He did like, I think he did like a bitter melon like 5 ways. Like he went all in on this shit. And then like the judges at the end of it was like, yeah, but yours didn't taste right.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, like bitter melon, it's hard to like completely get rid of like that bitterness, right? And you're doing it 5 ways.
Yeah.
Like as a chef, I'm like, dude, you should have won this shit. Like, but somehow I made it past it. Because they're like, oh yeah, like it was good. Like it tasted good at least, you know? And then it was simple, but they're just like happy with like the flavors of it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I've watched some cooking shows, a lot of chefs always are super over ambitious. And I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just do something simple.
Like I understand it, right? Because
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, you're a fucking chef, you know. But then they sometimes like simple is better. You
It
know?
is better.
And,
It's
like,
much better.
especially like bitter melon. Once again, it's like like out of everything, like why
Yeah,
bitter
that's so
melon?
funny
You know?
though. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second round was like the winning chef goes up against Bobby Flay, but you have the upper hand because you sort of like know what you're gonna be making, and then technically Bobby Flay doesn't know what he's making, but I guess he does have like a team of chefs that do all the research for him. So I mean, that was like one thing that I wasn't like too like happy with, where like before everything even started, like during the interview phase and like the follow-ups, I felt like they sort of guided me into doing something. Because originally, like I had a dish called like bulgogi risotto, so it's risotto with like bulgogi, whatever. It was like one of like my top sellers at the restaurant. I was like, yeah, I want to do this dish because he has to do the same thing. But they sort of navigate you into like doing what they want to see. Where it ended up just being like bulgogi sam, which is like a wrap with bulgogi.
Okay.
So that was a dish, and then I don't know, it was weird, like because off camera, like I was making everything like the judges were like, oh my god, it's so fucking good, like fuck Bobby, like he's gonna lose this shit. And then like I guess like I never watched this show before, but he I guess does something called like crispy rice.
Okay.
That's like whenever he does it, it's like he always wins. Like that's his one thing that like
That's his signature move.
yeah.
Finishing
Yeah.
move.
Or like if he's like like wary or like feels a little hesitant, like he'll just fucking be like crispy rice and then always wins this shit. So we did that. Like I was
That was
ahead
his
of it.
fatality.
Yeah. I was like I don't know, like I felt like judges hyped me up on the side when the camera wasn't rolling, but I'm like, you know, whatever. Like at least for me, like I'm done with it now, you know, and then I'm in fucking New York. Like I'm not gonna waste this chance.
That's awesome. It's hilarious too. It's just like, you know, it's television.
Yeah.
Movie magic, all that
Yeah.
stuff. It's hilarious. I've been on some sets, but not for like, no, actually I did, but it's just like hilarious. It's like a lot of just like waiting and shooting, then go back and then go forward, then go back, then go forward, go back for hours and hours. And you're just like weirdly sweaty.
Yeah. Because you don't know what's going on.
They have like people like, wait, let me spritz your face real quick. Yeah. It's funny stuff.
I mean, I give props to like those TV chefs now. I'm like, after going through them, I'm like, dude, like I'm not.
It's mentally exhausting, right? In like a different way.
Yeah. And it's like even after the shoot, you're there for like at least another like 3 hours going over the whole thing. And then there's like a talking coach that sort of guides you to like you know when you watch shows and there's like snippets of like I'm like, oh yeah, at this time I wasn't there mentally, like I don't know what was going on. But you do that after the shoot. So they sort of guide you to talk in a way that you're in that moment. And then they're just like walking you through it. And it's another like I said, like 3 hours of it. And then by the end of the day, you're just exhausted. I'm like, I need a drink or
From
something.
talking. Yeah. Crazy.
But, damn.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Definitely.
I'm not a talker.
You have to be good at it. You know?
Yeah. That's why you know, Triple D is what it is.
Look at where you are now.
This is different. This is different though. I don't have a hey, wait, we need to cut right now. And then he spritz your face. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about some of your food. What has been some of your favorite dishes you made?
So,
or you explain to like the audience a dish that you love to make.
I think I have like a template menu of like usually if I'm like running out of time or like I'm short on like time to like get promotional photos, testing. Like my sample template would be like some kind of dumpling, right? Because everybody fucking loves dumplings. Maybe some kind of salad, do like a fish or protein. Maybe like a noodle dish, just because now I'm like doing Korean food. I feel like that's like the staples, and that's very safe. Where you do dumplings, you do noodles, people aren't gonna hate it, right? And then you have like one dessert. So that's like my rough outline of a template menu. And then from there, I guess lately I've been sort of basing things off like weather. So now it's like winter time now, so it's getting fucking cold. So now I'm going like heavy into soups, you know, soups,
that porridge
noodles.
I had at Bouvon's. What was that one called?
I think that was the I think that was a mushroom chuk. So like a mushroom
Yeah,
porridge.
yeah, that was really
Yeah.
good.
I'm actually bringing that back
Yeah.
for this week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But it's just like it's nice, right? Where like it's cold, it's warm,
Yeah.
like you're used to
You're just being
rice.
thoughtful of,
Yeah.
the seasons
Mhm.
changing, and also like wherever you're popping up
Mhm.
is what the clientele
Yeah,
is going to
yeah,
be
yeah.
like. Is going to be like a upscale wine
Mhm.
bar. Flex a little bit.
That's the hard thing
Yeah.
too. Like you gotta know the clientele.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's so different because like even from like Long Beach to like downtown and like what's it, Clover City to Fullerton, like the clientels are all different. So
Very different.
usually like that first pop up is just like it might be a blank, you might do shit or you might do very well,
Yeah.
But yeah, once you know the clientele, you can sort of like nitpick what to do there. But then also like when you said like what's my favorite thing to make, honestly, I would probably say like like I call it hopbang or
Okay.
like bao buns, but not like the clamshell bao buns, but like the dumpling
Okay.
ones.
Yeah.
And I have a perfected like recipe for like that kind of yeasted dough now, where it's just like every time I make it, I have it dialed down. My girlfriend has it like dialed down, like making it now
Nice.
too, and it just comes out like super fluffy, super moist.
Do you stuff it with something?
Yeah. So that'll be like my dumpling variation,
Uh-huh.
or one of my variations for dumplings. Or it'll either be like a pork and shrimp mix, or like I can go like a very traditional Korean where it's like beef, like rice noodles or potato noodles, Korean chives, carrots, sesame oil, fish sauce. And then I make like something called the tadegi, which is like so the literal translation of tadegi means like it does everything. So that's what it translates to, and what it is, it's like a fermented chili oil. So it'd be like fine gochugaru, which is like a Korean chili flake, coarse gochugaru. I'll add some like MSG, soy sauce, sesame oil, sugar. Sometimes I add like dashida, which is like a Korean beef bone bouillon base, or like even like hondashi, depending on like what I want to use it for. Cook it out for a little bit, and I just let it sit out for like months.
Oh wow.
Like I have a batch at home right now. I want to say I made that maybe like end of last year, and like the longer it sits, it just gets more and more concentrated. And then well, like learning more into like Korean food, because I've only been doing like cooking Korean food like professionally for like 4 years now. So I still had to do a lot of research at the beginning and like learning the foundations of like a sundubu, which is like the tofu stew.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, that, or like another dish called like yukgaejang, which is like a lot of vegetables and like a red like beef bone broth or beef broth with noodles, or with noodles, and it's like served with the side of rice. There's a lot of dishes that use that tadegi or like the everything fermented chili oil. And then once I got my variation sort of like tweaked into it, I'm like, when I do like the bao buns, I'll like top it off with that,
Nice.
and it's like it's seasoned enough where you can eat it alone, but like that extra like fermented chili oil just adds like that kick to it,
Yeah.
and it just like rounds it all out.
Wow.
And it's just like every time I do it, it never does me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's ever anyone that said anything bad about it. And I'm like, if I need something that's gonna be like a crowd pleaser that I know for sure, like I'll just throw that in there, and it's easy money.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what I think I've been trying to work on, are like a sauce that no one has like made before, and just keep that as like my signature and have that like on content, like on something, whatever. And so right now I've been making, I made a big batch and it lasts a long time, a bagoong, which is a fermented shrimp paste.
Oh, okay.
Philippines.
Yeah.
And I made an XO with it.
Oh.
And so that's like the base, and then I just make XO the same way, but then add that in there. And it's like sweet, umami, a little bit spicy. I put some like what I put, like pasilla chilies and arbol chilies. And so it's a little different, but it's like really good. And people are like, you should jar this up. But it's crazy because there's actually a bagoong shortage, and they're not supposed to, and it's not being shipped anymore to the Philippines. So I'm like, fuck, can't make this sauce anymore.
You gotta make it yourself now,
Yeah,
bro.
I was like, this is good. This jar that I have right now, one jar, $2 million. But yeah, I was looking for it at the store, and I couldn't find it. I was like, I only got a cup left.
Wait, so what exactly is like that? It's just like shrimps, all like a garum kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just they ferment it. Like out, and then they just like blitz it into a paste. So,
I
and
feel like
you can
make
buy a
it.
spicy one too.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They have different kinds, and they have like a what I forgot the other name of it, but it's like a real funky one. It's pink. It's,
I think because I know like Chinese cooking, they use that kind of stuff too,
yes,
and
yeah.
it's like it smells gnarly.
Yes.
But then, like when you put it in
But
stews
if you know
and
how to
shit,
use it,
yeah, it's
a lot of
fucking good.
Filipinos use it in like mostly everything, just to build that like umami
Yeah.
base. Yeah, it's great. Hopefully, the Philippines finds a way to ship it over here.
Nah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's. I feel like you could do it yourself. I mean,
I could.
it's gonna smell like ass for
Yeah,
sure.
my girlfriend's gonna hate me.
Like that's one of those things where like I learned how to make like doenjang and gochujang. So like doenjang is like the Korean like soybean paste, and then
Okay, yeah,
gochujang
yeah.
is like the chili paste,
Yeah.
right? So like in Korean cuisine, so like kanjang, which is like soy sauce, kanjang, doenjang, gochujang, those are like the three,
Like the
I guess like
mothers.
mother
Yeah.
sauces, right? And then they all come from the same thing, right? So to make the soybean paste, you need to have like dried out fermented like bricks of soybeans, and ferment it, dry it out, and then you like soak it in like charcoal water with like other spices. Let that soak for X amount of times, and then from there you get like your soy sauce, and then whatever leftover like soybean clumps that sort of like rehydrated and fermented, that becomes like your soy sauce, or not like your soy sauce, but like the doenjang, the soybean paste, and then from there like the brick before you even like dunk it in like the charcoal water. I believe if you like blitz it into like a finer powder, you can use it to like you can use it as like the starter for like to make gochujang.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like there's like steps to it, and then there's a lady that I know in K-Town that makes all her own shit, and she's been like teaching me.
Wow.
And I'm like, I want to make it at home, but the whole process, it smells like ass, bro.
Yeah, it
Like she
does.
has a back house, luckily, where like that's like her fermentation like set up, and then it's like I see all the processes, and like actually gets funky.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I want to do it at home, but in our little apartment, my
Thumbs
girlfriend's-
up or thumbs down?
Then, should I make doenjang or gochujang at home? No.
Yeah, I just think of like stinky feet.
Yeah, and like it like sticks to your clothes. Where like I go inside her like back house and I come out like in 30 minutes. I'm like, yo, like what the
Yeah.
fuck, yo, like how, like
Yeah, there's no way I'd be
Yeah.
able to make it. I'd get in trouble.
it's but so good. And
Yeah.
like knowing the steps, I'm like I want to do it
Yeah,
so
I'm
bad.
gonna
but
look it up now how to make bagon.
I
I'm
feel like
curious now.
I'm pretty sure it's just all salt ratios, right?
Yes,
like
it's super
anything,
salty.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
Where like even with like fish sauce, right? It's just all percentages.
yeah, yeah.
Fucking throw fish, salt, just let it sit out
Yeah.
for like I don't know, fucking
Fish sauce is gnarly though. That can get real funky. I would never do fish sauce.
It's like I love and hate fish sauce because like I worked for a Vietnamese chef for like a very long time, and we're like fish sauce everything, right?
Yeah.
Even like the nakcham, like
Yeah, I use fish sauce in everything.
everything,
Yeah.
like tastes so good, but like oh my god, that smell of it, like
Yeah.
the moment I smell
Which brand do you use?
I'm used to using 3 Crab.
Okay.
Like I know a lot of people like sort of lean into like the more organic route, right? I think like Red Boat is like the
I don't like Red Bow.
yeah, I haven't tried it.
Yeah, I don't like
but
it.
that's like the organic, like
that?
or
No, it's
something.
organic.
I don't know, but it might have not been Red Bull.
Okay.
But I know there are like the more like popular versions.
yeah.
But even with like Korean food, like I've always seen like my parents use like the 3 Crab, and even working for the Vietnamese chef, he was using
Yeah, they
3
use 3
Crab.
crab. Yeah.
And like it's solid. Like even like this, I see like the squid fish sauce.
Yes,
Like,
I
it's-
think that's a Thai. I use Mega Chef.
What's Mega Chef?
It has a squid, I think, on it.
Okay,
It's
okay,
blue
okay.
bottle.
I think I know what you're talking
Should
about.
try it. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Or it's really good. I like using that one. But if I can't find that one, I get 3 crab.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's like available everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm
easy.
like, it's easy to just get anywhere. So I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely I think it's a little more on the funky side.
Oh,
and then
is
I
it?
think the Red Bow is more on the like more seasoned side. Like it's a
Okay.
little it's saltier, as like
Even
can't
more
get
saltier.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I love talking about fish sauce. It's fish sauce knowledge.
I love fish sauce. Just don't get it on yourself. You know,
Yeah,
just,
don't
that
care
shit don't come
yourself.
out,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. Well, that's all the time we have for today. It was the pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out from LA to Long Beach.
Yeah, always
Yeah,
pleasure.
I can't wait
Always.
to get to your next pop up. I want to take my girlfriend because I was raving about your food when I went, and I was like, "Oh, we need to go," and then she could just never go. I was like,
You
"Damn
gotta
it."
come to the chicken.
Yeah,
The
we
chicken's
gotta
like I
come.
did every month. And
Okay, all right, we'll
just
be
be
there.
safe.
We'll
But
be there.
yeah.
All right, guys, that was it for today. Make sure you follow Justin on Instagram. We'll put the hashtag, whatever,
hashtag.
with the @ sign.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Peace.